You're listening to WFUT Factory Underground Radio. My name is Tony Bacigalupo, and you are listening to my program, which will take you through the next hour. It's called You Are Invited. And in this program, we look at all of the wonderful things, all of the favorite things, all of the wonderful things that go into bringing people together, getting people out of the house, giving people reasons to get away from the algorithms and just be humans together in real life where we all really belong. And so, in the course of this hour, I'm going to talk about a couple of different things, but the main thing that I want to talk about is a unusual alliance that I see forming between the people who are looking to address this issue of the loneliness epidemic and people being unhealthy and isolated in their homes, and purveyors of alcohol. So, one of the things I've noticed, I've been watching the NBA playoffs, unfortunately, and as a Knicks fan, it's unfortunate. And the one of the ads that you will see in the course of that is a campaign called Social Off Socials, which involves people basically discovering that everyone has gone offline. Nobody is watching anybody's streams or feeds, and that is because everyone's gone to the bar to actually hang out and have fun together in real life. And what I believe is that there is an opportunity for the beer companies and the other alcohol purveyors, for basically anybody who has a vested interest in getting people together in real life, to invest more in this direction, not just through commercials, but through actual campaigns and actions and activities. So I put together a little package. I'm going to play it in just a moment. And we're going to go through a little bit about what a few of those campaigns were, why they're interesting, why they're exciting, and maybe explore where we can go from here in terms of developing that some more. So I'll play that in just a moment. Before that, I just want to share a few shouts. If you're in the Norwalk area, we've got Bike Party every Friday night starting at 7 p.m. on 5050 Washington Street. It is totally free, all skills, hosted by yours truly. And I will be more than happy to help make sure you have a wonderful time. If biking's not your thing, you've also got this Friday jazz at Space Cat, which is exciting. We've also got a nature walk in Cranberry Park on Saturday morning, 9:30 and 10:30 a.m. That's hosted by the Parks and Recreation organization here in Norwalk. So a lot of fun things going on in town. But actually, tonight the Sustainable Streets Norwalk organization is going to be hosting a very special Q&A session with Barbara Smith, mayoral candidate, and common council member. So I'll be looking forward to joining that after this program. But in the meantime, I wanted to get into this package, talk a little bit about the potential of beer companies, not just from an alcohol consumption standpoint, also from maybe even non-alcoholic standpoint, some of the ways that they're exploring helping encourage more people to get together. So let's give this a shot. I am testing out the idea of playing a recorded package. So let's see how this goes and enjoy. Normally, the news that drinking has gone down, especially among younger generations, would be welcomed as a boon. Oh boy. Unfortunately, the reason for that decline is all right. So here's what we're going to do. I am going to attempt to fix this package in real time while I am talking with you. And you know what? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to try that again. I'm going to see if we can get it going. Here we go. Normally, the news that drinking has gone down, especially among younger generations, would be welcomed as a boon. Unfortunately, the reason for that decline is tied directly to another vice that might be just as bad for one's health: staying home alone, spending time on screens. While it might not be the best idea to get people back into a bad habit, advocates are looking for ways people can socialize again.
Advocates who are looking for ways people can socialize again with real people in real life might find an unlikely ally in the beer companies. Our story today covers 4 different campaigns, 3 by Heineken and 1 by Guinness. First off, Heineken's Social Off Socials campaign that imagines a world where everyone logs off. Then Guinness's Lovely Day campaign, a coast-to-coast project capturing real communities coming together over a pint. Then we'll go back to Heineken with the Route 0.0 campaign, a dry January pop-up series in Canada that turns a city streetcar into a roving party. And finally, in Heineken UK's Pub Alone campaign, a Christmas initiative training staff and offering incentives to make sure nobody has to drink alone during the holidays. We'll hear from the campaign creators and the company insiders, dive into stats on alcohol trends and smartphone habits, and peek at the business motives brewing beneath the friendly messages. Let's begin. Part 1.
Oh, okay, here we go. Hey. Oh my goodness. So sorry about that, y'all. So, that recorded file didn't seem to be cooperating with us, so I am going to just pick up where that recording left off and do this live for you here. And the first of the 4 stories that we're going to talk about is that Social Off Socials campaign. So, picture this: an empty freeway littered with abandoned cars. It feels like the apocalypse, but something peculiar is missing. Not zombies or aliens, but social media. This is the world imagined by Heineken's latest global campaign, Social Off Socials. And in the middle of that highway stands a lone figure, musician and actor Joe Jonas, phone in hand, staring at a lifeless Instagram feed. In the campaign's flagship ad, Jonas finds that no one, literally no one, is online. Confused, he wanders through scenes of influencer despair. A famous TikTok prankster eats lunch alone. His camera crew nowhere to be found. And a YouTube star tosses her ring light in the trash. Another influencer plasters subscribe flyers on street lamps, desperately seeking viewers. As Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World ironically plays, Jonas looks to the sky and cries out, "Where is everybody?" He gets his answer in the form of a green glow down the block, the familiar neon of the Heineken logo. Drawn in, he discovers a bustling bar full of life. People laughing, clinking bottles of Heineken, and utterly present with one another. The message is clear without a single line of voiceover. The party is in the pub, not on the phone. It's a bold and somewhat ironic move. After all, Heineken enlisted some of the world's biggest digital content creators, people whose livelihoods are depending on screen time to deliver this anti-screen message. And alongside Joe Jonas, the campaign features viral personalities like Seth Phillips, aka Dude with a Sign on Instagram, rapper Lil Cherry, and fitness influencer Paul Olima. They all appear in on the joke. Their online personas falter in real life until they too join the bar scene. Each creator then turned around and shared short films on their own channels, urging followers to get offline and join real life experiences. As Heineken's global head of brand Nabil Nasser put it, working with creators who are by their nature always online to highlight the solution may seem ironic, but they too realize it's about balance. Even influencers feel the digital burnout and were as eager as us to encourage IRL socializing. The data behind Social Off Socials underscores why this message might resonate. Heineken commissioned research on screen time and social burnout, surveying 17,000 adults globally. The results were sobering. The average person spends nearly 6 hours per day on their device. That's about 88 days, almost 3 months per year lost to scrolling. Over half of adults say they feel overwhelmed by the pressure to keep up online, And of course, the most affected, Gen Z, nearly 62% responded, admitting that they feel socially drained by constant digital engagement. To a brewing company built on convivial gatherings, those numbers looked like both a problem and an opportunity. Heineken's marketing team made it something of a mission to tackle the digital overload. And in recent years, they've tried some quirky tactics to nudge drinkers off their phones. Last year, for example, at music festivals in Mexico and Amsterdam, Heineken used hidden technology that only phone cameras could detect, using special infrared messages on stage that literally spelled out, "Put your phones down," when viewed through a screen. So concert goers who obeyed got to fully enjoy the show, while the ones who insisted on recording or pointing their phone at the stage were kind of reminded why maybe they should think twice about it. This brand, Heineken, also designed a boring phone, an old school limited function handset with Nokia's manufacturer. They dropped these devices at a Milan Design Week party as a tongue in cheek antidote to flashy smartphones. Side note, do not attempt to try to buy one of these. I looked them up and they were for sale for something on the order of $450 or so. So they're definitely a collector's item. And also in a bit of gadget wizardry, Heineken actually prototyped an AI-powered beer case that flips your smartphone face down automatically whenever someone at the table says cheers. These gimmicks, while playful, all serve a serious strategy, reminding consumers that the best connections are made in real life. That's a direct quote from Nabil Nasser, who describes the new campaign as a gentle reminder that stepping away from our screens can lead to more refreshing and meaningful social experiences. At an exclusive launch event in New York City, Nasser and the team brought this philosophy to life. They staged a publicity stunt where Joe Jonas and Dude with a Sign stood in a Manhattan storefront, posed as living Instagram reels, winking at how absurd online life can be when taken offline. Jonas even debuted a new single, Heart by Heart, to a small crowd that had been asked to lock away their phones. No filming, just listening. At the event, Joe Jonas was quoted as saying, "It's so easy to fall into doom scrolling on your phone. I've been there. It felt like the perfect time to return to what music is really about, connecting with people." The crowd was so real, so present, completely locked into the music. That is something you can't experience by watching on social media. Heineken calls Social Off Socials its largest marketing campaign of 2025, and it shows in the rollout. The dystopian ad spot is just the beginning. Over the next 6 months, Heineken will push this message across TV, billboards, digital, and of course, social media in over 50 countries. The brewer is effectively throwing its global media weight behind an idea. If we balance our digital lives, we'll enjoy our beers and each other a whole lot more. Across the Atlantic, another giant of the beer world has taken a slightly different tack, one steeped in its own history. Where Heineken used satire in a sci-fi scenario to lament our digital habits, Guinness decided to celebrate the real-world communities that make drinking social. And to do it, they embarked on a 5,000-mile journey. Part 2, Guinness, Lovely Day Across America. Our next story begins with a throwback. Lovely day for a Guinness, a cheerful slogan born in 1930s Ireland, often paired with an image you might recognize if you've ever been to a bar, paired with a toucan balancing a pint on its beak in vintage ads. In 2025, Guinness breathed new life into this classic catchphrase with a campaign called A Lovely Day, aiming it squarely at the United States. It's not just an ad, Guinness calls it the Lovely Day Project. The plan? Travel to all 50 states to find, film, and fet the little moments that make any day a lovely day when friends or strangers come together over a Guinness. The result is an uplifting montage of real American life, far from the usual beer commercial script. There are no stage party scenes or actors raising glasses in a studio. Instead, we see things like New Orleans Treme Brass Band in a funky local bar, the multi-generational musicians tucking into a home-cooked meal and a pint between sets, or bundled up revelers at the Brainerd Ice Fishing Extravaganza in Minnesota, a frozen lake full of fishing holes, proving that camaraderie and a well-poured stout can warm even the coldest day. A huddle of tough as nails players from the Albuquerque Aardvarks Rugby Club, grilling carne asada in the New Mexico desert after a match, Guinnesses in hand as they toast to team spirit. Union workers in Chicago who have the quirky job of dyeing the Chicago River green every St. Patrick's Day. When the work's done, they're at the pub raising pints to a job well done. And even a group of sneaker clad runners in Newport Beach, California, who've turned their monthly jog into a ritual. Finish the run, then hit the pub for Guinness. For them, it's not about the miles, it's the laughs and clinking glasses afterward that matter. These are just a handful of the 50 communities featured in the Lovely Day campaign. Each snapshot is authentic. Guinness says they met real people and witnessed real moments. All we did was bring the Guinness and let the cameras roll. That's a quote from Joyce He, Guinness's vice president for marketing. In other words, the brand became a facilitator of togetherness, not the main attraction. It's a montage of American diversity and unity, from Alaskan ice skaters to Florida dominoes players, from a Tulsa Sandlot baseball team to Hawaiian surfers. And in each vignette, there's a Guinness quietly in the mix, acting as a social catalyst. The campaign centerpiece is a sweeping 90-second film that strings these stories together. In one scene, you might see a cowboy hat and lasso at a Texas rodeo, and the next, a backyard barbecue in Kansas or a pride parade in San Francisco. The visuals are stitched together by, as you would expect, a slow cover of Bill Withers' Lovely Day. The feeling it leaves you with is a gentle warmth. Maybe any day can be a lovely day for a Guinness, if you spend it with others. Uncommon Creative Studio, a London agency known for heartfelt storytelling, developed this campaign, and the real-world activations behind A Lovely Day go beyond filming feel-good ads. Earlier in March 2025, Guinness invited people across the U.S. to share their own Lovely Day photos on social media in a kind of crowdsourced celebration. The response was massive, a powerful tapestry of moments, as Guinness described it. Those genuine snapshots of community likely informed which stories they filmed next. And Guinness isn't stopping at the ad film. Throughout this year, they're rolling out mini documentaries that dive deeper into these local stories. Imagine a short feature just on that New Orleans brass band or the Chicago Plumbers, giving each a moment in the spotlight with Guinness as the thread connecting them. In cities around the country, Guinness is complementing the digital storytelling with boots on the ground marketing, including billboards and digital displays in various towns, naming and honoring those local groups. And as summer arrives, Guinness is releasing a limited edition can design by artist Sebastian Curie, adorned with bright suns, birds, playful American motifs. It's Guinness's visual cue that the stout can be a summer drink too. And Joyce He continues in her quote. She says, "It's a refreshing reminder that we all thrive the most when coming together as communities, because at its core, A Lovely Day isn't just about what's found in your pint. It's about the people around you, the moments shared, and the passions that bring us together." Her words echo a truth that Guinness is banking on. In an era when loneliness is on the rise, people want authentic connection. In fact, data shows that in communities worldwide, social hubs like pubs and breweries play a crucial role. A UK survey found 75% of pub goers say they visit pubs specifically to connect with others. Early signs suggest this approach is hitting home. The campaign is inspired by nostalgia, but feels timely. Now, connecting in real life doesn't always mean drinking alcohol. In fact, one of the biggest shifts in alcohol trends lately is the rise of non-alcoholic beer, a trend our next story dives into. For some people, dry January, giving up the booze for the first month of the year, is a modern ritual. So instead of fighting this teetotaling tide, Heineken decided to ride it on a streetcar. Part 3, Route 0.0, Embracing Dry January. It's a frigid Saturday night in January on the streets of Toronto. Snow piles on the sidewalks, but here comes a brightly lit streetcar rolling down Spadina Avenue. Through its windows, you don't see dour commuters. You see a party. A DJ is spinning tracks, neon lights dance across faces, and a crowd of young Torontoans are they're raising bottles of beer. But a closer look shows those bottles bear the label Heineken 0.0, the brewer's non-alcoholic lager. This is Route 0.0, Heineken's ingenious answer to Dry January, a mobile, alcohol-free pop-up bar on rails. The concept flips the script on the old pub crawl. Instead of going from bar to bar, the bar itself moves. For 3 consecutive Saturday nights each January, Heineken charters a full-size Toronto streetcar and transforms it into a rolling club. It includes live DJs with different local talent each week, a cooler stocked, of course, with ice-cold Heineken 0.0 on the house. Revelers of legal drinking age can hop on for free. I guess even if you're not drinking alcohol, they want to make sure they're not accidentally crossing any boundaries that they don't want to get in trouble with. The streetcar itself makes a loop, dropping riders off near popular bars and nightlife hotspots, effectively chauffeuring them to the next venue, cover charge free. Everyone who boards gets a special Route 0.0 wristband. It's not just a souvenir. Flash it at your partner bars along the route, and you'll get free entry and a free Heineken 0.0 waiting for you at the bar. It's a golden ticket to keep the night going alcohol-free. The vibe inside the street bar is electric. One attendee's TikTok video shows people dancing in the aisle, with a DJ dropping the beats and a cluster of friends cheering as they sip their beers. Beers that won't give them a hangover the next day. The decor is cheeky, a streetcar wrapped in Heineken's colors with slogans like cheers with no alcohol, emblazoned on the side. It's a moving billboard that doubles as an experience. This isn't just a fun night out. It's a strategic campaign with a clear message. Good times don't require alcohol. That phrase comes straight from Heineken's marketing director in Canada, Jose Casillas, who spearheaded Route 0.0. He says, quote, "We know that choosing a non-alcoholic beverage often invites questions or assumptions. But whether you're taking a break, trying something new, or simply enjoying the moment, the reason doesn't matter. Heineken Route 0.0 is here to challenge the misconception that alcohol is needed for a fun and memorable night out." The campaign aligns with Heineken's global slogan for its zero alcohol beer, 0.0 reasons needed. In other words, you don't need a special excuse. Not driving, not pregnancy, not I'm on antibiotics, to justify opting for beer without booze. You can just do it. Vinny Dalby, Chief Creative Officer at Publicis Toronto, the agency behind this stunt, put it this way: no alcohol doesn't mean no fun. There doesn't need to be a reason to reach for Heineken 0.0, and that's why Route 0.0 is all about having a good time regardless of what's in your glass. So, as I mentioned earlier, the idea of Route 0.0 actually came as a response to Dry January, when a whole lot of people now, growing number each year, swear off alcohol in the month following the holidays. Far from seeing this as an actual threat to sales, Heineken saw an opening. The first Route 0.0 streetcar activation launched in early 2024 in Toronto and was, by all accounts, a hit, boosting local sales of Heineken 0.0 and generating word-of-mouth buzz that caught even the company off guard. Ridership was strong enough that Heineken brought the concept back in 2025 with an even bigger push. Toronto's not the only city going dry in style either. Similar pop-up events and 0.0 branded party buses have been spotted in cities from Madrid to Mexico City as beer makers court the sober-curious crowd. So why invest in all this? Well, as I mentioned, more and more people are drinking less and less alcohol, but the non-alcoholic beer market itself is booming, and brewers smell opportunity. Industry-wide data shows that what was once a niche segment is becoming mainstream. Consider, in Q3 2024, Heineken 0.0's global sales jumped 11%, outpacing many traditional beers. In the UK, Heineken 0.0 is now the top-selling non-alcoholic beer, with sales value up 25% in a year to £38.4 million. Volume sales climbed nearly 20% as well. Here in the US, where non-alcoholic beers used to be an afterthought, even a punchline, Heineken 0.0 pulled in about $80 million in sales over a year, growing 11% year on year. That means Heineken 0.0 now commands roughly 20% of the global non-alcoholic beer market, outselling its nearest competitor by 167%. These figures explain a lot. For shareholders, every Dry January participant is now not a threat, but potentially a new customer. If you can offer them a non alcoholic brew, rather than losing beer sales in January, Heineken wants to convert them to Heineken 0.0 sales. It's not just defensive, it's offensive, targeting health conscious drinkers year round. And beyond sales, there's a brand equity play. By championing moderation and inclusivity, making non drinkers feel part of the party, Heineken is reinforcing the idea that there are zero point zero reasons needed to drink non alcoholic beverages. So, this campaign extends also to digital advertising and social media, all reinforcing that choosing not to drink is no less celebratory. This is a savvy alignment of messaging with marketing trends. And our last story goes even a little deeper into the world of pubs and the people who go to them alone. If Route 0.0 is about having a good time without alcohol, Pub Alone is about making sure you have a good time, period, even if you walk in the room by yourself. And for that, we head back on over to the UK, where the holidays can be the loneliest time of the year. Part 4, Pub Alone. No one's, as I drop something, Pub Alone. No one's a stranger at the pub. It's mid-December in an English pub. Twinkling lights are strung along a bar. Christmas tree stands in the corner. The pub should feel merry. But over by the window, a man sits nursing a pint alone, scrolling his phone with a resigned expression. At another table, an older woman sips a stout quietly, alone as well. This isn't a setup for a joke, it's a snapshot that Stonegate Group, UK's largest pub operator, and Heineken UK wanted to change. Their joint initiative is pointedly titled Pub Alone, and its mission is to tackle loneliness during the holiday season. Launched in late 2024, Pub Alone turned the usual idea of holiday beer marketing on its head. Instead of pushing out another festive ad about friends celebrating, Stonegate and Heineken acknowledged a hard truth. For many, Christmas isn't joyful, it's isolating. Loneliness isn't just an issue for the elderly living solo. Startlingly, those aged 16 to 29 are more than twice as likely to report feeling lonely as those over 70. The campaign's aim was twofold: spark conversations about loneliness and create real opportunities for people to connect in pubs during the holidays. So here's how Pub Alone rolled out. For one, they were training actual pub staff. So Stonegate started training its bartenders and staff to be alert to signs of loneliness and to engage solo patrons in friendly chat or introduce them to others. The idea is to recreate that classic publican role of social host. This goes hand in hand with a broader push in the UK pub industry for loneliness awareness training, something Heineken's pub arm, Star Pub and Bars, has been funding through charity partnerships. By Loneliness Awareness Week in June, pubs across Britain were encouraged to have staff trained to spot and support lonely individuals. In a way, Pub Alone gave a seasonal focus to this training, make the pub a welcoming haven for anyone on their own at Christmas. Then there's the Mixer app and vouchers. Stonegate leveraged its existing We Love Sport Mixer app, a platform that usually connects pubgoers for sports viewing. Through Pub Alone, the app featured a special advent calendar in December. Each day, users could redeem a prize or a deal, maybe a free half pint, free half pint, a 2-for-1 meal coupon, or even tickets to a holiday event. One of the prizes highlighted was offers from Birra Moretti, a Heineken-owned beer, tying in a promotional angle. Most importantly, the app's social feature was promoted. It can show you others in your area going to the pub for a big football match, effectively encouraging people to join in rather than stay home solo. And just downloading the app came with a free drink voucher to use at any Stonegate pub. A little nudge for someone hesitant about venturing out. Then there's the Tales of Togetherness. On social media, the campaign shared heartwarming pub stories throughout December. These were mini profiles of real pub goers who found friendship at the local pub or staff who went above and beyond to include someone alone. By spotlighting some of these montages, these folks were able to just highlight some really special stories and moments. And sorry, give me a second here. Hey, there we go. All right. By spotlighting these moments, Stonegate and Heineken aim to inspire others. If a widower named John found a surrogate family at the Red Lion pub last Christmas, maybe you could too. These stories, branded as tales of togetherness, put a human face to the cause and subtly advertise the pub as a place where magic can happen when people can come together. And there's a charity tie in backing all of this was a significant charitable component. Stonegate pledged £75,000 or about 95,000 US dollars to the Marmalade Trust, a UK charity dedicated to combating loneliness. Heineken UK had made Marmalade Trust its official charity partner the year prior, seeing alignment in addressing social isolation. The donation helped fund awareness campaigns and resources like the aforementioned staff training. By tying Pub Alone to a respected charity, the effort gained credibility and press attention. It wasn't just marketing, it was cause marketing. The Pub Alone initiative also had a clever advertising hook, a short online film that parodied the classic holiday movie Home Alone. In the Pub Alone ad, dubbed Ad of the Week by one industry magazine, a character named Kevin, of course, a dead ringer for Macaulay Culkin, finds himself accidentally left alone in a pub over Christmas. At first, Kevin is delighted. With no one around, he goes behind the bar, pours himself a pint, devours unattended snacks, and even reenacts the famous aftershave scream in the pub's bathroom mirror. But as in the film, the fun of solitude fades. The silent pub grows lonely. Just when Kevin looks truly forlorn, the doors burst open. His friends return, greeting him with hugs and laughter, turning the pub back into the lively, warm place it's meant to be. The tagline reminds viewers that the holidays are better together. And an on screen note explains the Marmalade Trust partnership, underlining that this cute, charitable campaign is about giving the gift of companionship. David McDowell, CEO of Stonegate Group, summed up the ethos. Our pubs have always been at the heart of communities. We are committed to bringing people together in safe, inclusive spaces where everyone feels welcome and can forge meaningful relationships. Partnering with Heineken UK allows us to amplify this message. And from Heineken's side, Will Rice, their on-trade pubs director, added, Christmas is wonderful for many, and it can be very difficult, very different for those feeling alone. Through Pub Alone, we want to encourage communities to support one another and break the silence on loneliness, fully aligning with our goal to alleviate the stigma of loneliness in the UK. So, did it work? While it's hard to measure conversations sparked or friendships formed, there are some indications of impact. The campaign garnered positive media coverage in the UK, from hospitality trade journals to national news segments. By highlighting the stat that half of young adults feel lonely weekly, Pub Alone put a spotlight on an issue often hidden behind Instagram smiles. Stonegate's app saw a boost in engagement during the promo period, with downloads crossing 1 million users, aided by the Advent calendar gimmick. That's a large pool of people potentially finding reasons to head to their local pub rather than stay at home. Pub staff reported anecdotally that more customers were mentioning the campaign. Some older patrons came in mentioning Marmalade Trust, and younger ones joked about being Kevin in the pub. This suggests the messaging permeated. And more importantly, the Marmalade Trust benefited. By early next year, the following year, Heineken and its pub partners, like Stonegate, had raised over £100,000 for the charity and helped fund new initiatives like Loneliness Awareness Week 2024 events. Marmalade Trust's founder, Amy Perrin, noted that the campaign helped her mission, quote, spread into pubs the length and breadth of the country and encourage more pubs to join the fight against loneliness. Now, as our Pub Alone segment closes, the scene in that English pub has changed. The man by the window has put down his phone because a bartender wandered over to chat and introduced him to a group playing darts. The older woman has joined a table where a charity quiz night is starting. Laughter ensues as she answers a question. The pub isn't a cure all for loneliness, but tonight, in this corner of the world, it's made the holiday a little warmer for a few folks. And that, the campaign suggests, is something worth drinking to. So we've journeyed from dystopian freeways to joyous streetcars, from Louisiana bayous to London pubs, and what ties these stories together is a striking trend. Beer companies are positioning themselves as catalysts for real human connection. It's marketing, yes, but it's marketing with an insight that after years of social distancing, both physical and digital, people are craving authenticity, community, and presence. The numbers back it up. Loneliness has been labeled an epidemic by public health officials. One UK survey found 50% of adults feel lonely at least once a week. And in the US, roughly 3 in 5 young adults report serious loneliness. Meanwhile, our phones, for all their utility, often pull us away from the moment. Nearly 45% of people admit to using their phone at social events, and Americans check their devices over 300 times a day on average. And in the beverage world, alcohol consumption patterns are shifting. Moderation and mindful drinking are on the rise, with the non-alcoholic beer sector growing by double digits annually. So the likes of Heineken and Guinness aren't operating on hunches, they're responding to cultural currents. Heineken's Social Off Socials campaign tapped into digital fatigue and made a splash by playfully showing us what we lose when we're glued to our phones and what we gain in a bar full of friends. It's too early to say how it will impact sales, but as a global campaign, it's generating significant buzz, helped by star power and shareable moments, and it positions Heineken as a champion of balanced living, a valuable place to sit for a brand targeting younger, savvy consumers. With Guinness's Lovely Day campaign, they refreshed a legacy slogan to stake a claim in the US market: Guinness equals community and joy. By investing in real stories and diverse faces, it sheds the stout, stuffy image and aligns it with feel-good, all-American values. Guinness is enjoying record growth globally, and if this campaign converts summer beer drinkers to include a dark brew in their barbecues and beach days, that growth will only continue. Already, they've signaled success by extending the campaign through the year end and rolling out those those limited cans, a sign that internal metrics like ad recall or brand favorability are likely up. With Route 0.0, Heineken demonstrated they can turn a potential slump with people abstaining from alcohol into brand building opportunity. This first iteration boosted sales just enough, at least enough, to justify its return. And beyond that, Heineken 0.0's market dominance speaks for itself. The company's earnings reports explicitly credit non-alcoholic and premium products for driving profits. One could imagine Heineken's CEO drinking a 0.0 bottle in a board meeting, celebrating how drinking less made a lucrative new segment. And then finally, with Pub Alone, well, it might be the least directly sales-oriented of the bunch, but it tackled an area crucial for the on-premise trade, making pubs welcoming to everyone. If more people feel comfortable walking into a pub solo, well, that's a win for business. It also garners goodwill, something that can't be bought. As one pub commentator noted, the novelty wears off, but the conviviality stays. Meaning that, campaign or not, a pub's true value is when it's filled with warmth and life. Pub Alone simply reminded folks of that, and in doing so, reminded them that Stonegate and Heineken care about their well-being and not just their wallet. Financially, these campaigns align with a pivot in the beer industry, selling experiences and value in addition to products. Values, that is, in addition to products. Heineken's parent company logged solid growth in 2024, with premiumization and innovations like 0.0 contributing strongly. Diageo, the parent company of Guinness, similarly reported one of Guinness's best years globally. crediting its marketing and surge in markets like the US. Shareholders are seeing that it pays to be ahead of social trends, whether it's wellness, digital well being, or community connection. From an investigative lens, there's also subtle reclamation happening. The same technology and social media that have fragmented attention, these brands are using them to promote reconnection. They're deploying viral videos, influencer partnerships, apps, and pop ups to ultimately encourage something quite old fashioned, gathering with real people in real places. It's a recognition that even in 2025, with the metaverse looming and AI friends on the horizon, humans still cherish a clink of glasses and a shared laugh. Perhaps the final scene to leave you with in this series of stories is a simple one. Two friends in a pub garden, phones away, pints in hand, talking as the afternoon sun fades. It's timeless. The beer companies didn't invent that joy, but they're wise to not let us forget it. If their campaigns succeed, next time you're tempted to doom scroll alone on your couch, you just might hear a little whisper. It's a lovely day. Go on, meet someone for a pint. Phones down, cheers up. We'll drink to that. So that was my little package on the beer industry and how it's investing in bringing people together. Hope you enjoyed it. Would love to get your thoughts on it. I will also add that the idea of using the internet to get off the internet is far from new. Anybody who's familiar with meetup.com might know the catchphrase that they used to advertise in the 2010s: use the internet to get off the internet, which I think continues to be a mantra that a lot of companies should continue to emulate to the present day. But the other thing that I think is important to just remember is that there is so much joy to be had in developing a relationship with the spaces around you and the people who inhabit those spaces. So we all know kind of the image of Cheers, the idea that there's this bar where everybody knows your name and the bartender's there and the bartender is, really thinking about curating and crafting a good experience for the people who are in that room. And a lot of that maybe is not quite as easy to find now as it maybe used to be, but in a lot of ways, it still can be found or it still can be created. And so, what I am inviting you to do, since this show is called You Are Invited, is to first and foremost identify where's a place that you could go and have a pint, and especially where's a place you could go to have a non-alcoholic pint. Finding bars that are a little bit more forward thinking that way and supporting them is not necessarily the worst idea. But the other question is, who would you want to grab a beer with? So I'll bet if you just take a quick second to think about it as I am talking to you, you could probably come up with a name of somebody who is um, who would be on that list, who's somebody that you would want to, uh, have that beer with, and so I'd recommend, if you are listening to this, otherwise, I don't know, maybe I guess you're an LLM bot that is transcribing this for someone. But if you're listening to this and you're a human being, then you can probably think of someone, and I would dare you, reach out to them right now and, um and ask them if they wanna grab a beer, and let them know that you found a bar that maybe offers non-alcoholic beers if they would prefer to stay on the sober side of things. So, that is, my thoughts on the beer industry. I will certainly revisit this topic as I learn more about it. Before I leave you all today, we do have a little bit more time, and so I want to talk about one more topic, and that is something called the Luddite Club. So, the Luddite Club is a group specifically for folks who are younger, on the younger side of things. These are teenagers who meet every Sunday in Prospect Park, Brooklyn, and they are something you would probably think is not that remarkable of a sight until you realize that they're not using phones at all. They're a small but growing group of Brooklyn students who formed what they call the Luddite Club, which is named after a 19th century movement opposing industrialization. And so this is kind of a similar way of opposing some of the industrialization of our hearts and souls happening in the world today. And so one of those students was just realizing during, they said, Jameson Butler, one of these students said, quote, during COVID, I kind of looked at my screen time and I was like, wow, I'm spending more than half my time awake on my phone. Something needs to change. And Amanda Hannah McAleer was a teacher at Murrow when she began to notice how many of her students were struggling with tech addiction. Quote, I had been called a Luddite for years, probably since 2017, and it was not used in a positive way. It was very much derogatory. Luddites are often seen as anti progress, backwards. A Luddite, she explains, is someone who's against the abuse, not the use of technology. The abuse, not the use of technology. We all benefit from some amount of technology in our lives, she says, but what we're seeing right now is an abuse of technology. So these folks are getting together in real life, and not just in real life, they are also sending out a physical mail newsletter. And I was so thrilled to get my address into this sign up. So if you go to the ludditeclub.org, you'll see right up front, subscribe to our snail mail newsletter, the Luddite Dispatch. And then you can put in your info. If you want to, you can donate. And it says, get your life back, unplug. And there are a few pages, but there's no social media and there is no email newsletter. You can find some videos, you can donate, you can contact them. Of course, they invite you to contact them by mail, which I think is amazing. And they also have a link inviting you to start a club, which links to them, their email address directly. So there are clubs now taking place in a bunch of cities. Brooklyn and Manhattan in New York City, Washington, Seattle, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, Richmond, Austin, Victoria, BC, Santa Barbara, San Diego, Colchester, Vermont, Fort Collins, Oberlin, Ohio, Bellingham, Washington, Telluride, Colorado, Bel Air, Maryland, Poughkeepsie, New York, and Irvine. These are all associated with high schools and with colleges in those cities. And the quarterly newsletter, as I mentioned, was launched in September 2024, intending to reach Luddites nationwide. And their most recent edition just went out in April 2025. I just got it in the mail today, and I'm very excited. I actually am going to open it live on the air here so we can discover it together. This is, by the way, a 501c3 nonprofit, which is really, really quite amazing. Okay, so I've got the Luddite Dispatch, which has a very dope looking return address label. And I'm going to open this up. I'm noticing that, first of all, they do have pre sorted postage applied. I've sent out a fair number of zines in my day. So I know there is always a question in my mind of the cost of shipping. And this looks like about the same size as my zines, which are basically an 8.5 by 11 folded in half. And in fact, the Luddite Dispatch is the same, but it is in color. It is printed with some heavy stock. Clearly, these folks have really invested in this project. So either by way of donations or by the support of some of the organizations they work with, they very clearly have some great support behind them and are putting some great effort into this. So this is volume 1, number 2, and this was published April 2025. And the headline story is called Unplugged and Unraveled, Why Sendport's Smartphone Ban Failed. So this was actually a report from the Logan Lane, one of the founders, and August Lamb. And they actually went off to France and had learned a little bit about what was going on in Sendport. So the mayor, Vincent Paul Petit, was the former CEO of an SME that folded after being hacked. He conceived of this ban in response to a lot of problems in terms of health and attention capacity that excessive cell phone use had brought to constituents. Paul Petit saw a future for his little city that harkened back to a more bucolic past when people actually spoke to each other in public. His decree restricted the use of smartphones at school gates, restaurants, parks, and on the sidewalk. Recommendations for parents discouraged screen use for children before school, in the evenings, in bedrooms, and at mealtimes. Free flip phones were provided to residents under 15. The decree passed by a slim margin of 54% and was enforced on March 1st, 2024. But by the time the authors, by the time the authors arrived in Sandport, the ban had been the victim of legal entanglements and had been officially overturned. Paul Petit was informed by regional authorities that he was not authorized to pass such a ban, and the official mandate was revoked. But Paul Petit had assured that the ban was still widely accepted. It works, he insisted during a chat before we arrived. Most people are keeping this rule for themselves. The residents of Sandport are now walking, according to his claim, to the bakery without their smartphones, striking up conversations with local shopkeepers. And these changes, however minor, were important steps for him, indicating an important cultural shift. But the ultimate ambition is a countrywide ban. So we'll see where that goes. I highly recommend you head to ludditeclub.org, theludditeclub.org, and go get yourself a copy of this. You can also send the mail. The Luddite Club, P.O. Box 137, 165 Court Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11201. So Godspeed to the people at Luddite Club for leading the charge and setting a great example in terms of younger folks who are demonstrating that folks at all different age levels and that the young folks, especially these days, are not going to just sit and stand for. That are not just going to stand for having their attention and their lives manipulated by algorithms. So, great big shouts to them, and I'm excited for where they go from here. In terms of where we go from here, I'm going to continue to be working on my bike parties. I'm also working on a new speaker series in New York City, working with the fine people at Fabric, which is a wonderful co-working community based in Tribeca in Manhattan. And they have various degrees of membership offerings geared around participation in their programming. They have like 3 different events going on every day of the week. And if you want to host some programming, they have membership levels designed for people who are themselves community leaders who want to host events there as well. So I'll be doing a speaker series there. It looks like later on into June. And so I'll be sharing more details about that as we go. Going to be covering topics like how to start from scratch when you move into a town, informed by my own experience coming into Norwalk here and figuring out how to get my feet wet and how to get involved. We'll also be talking about how to start creating impact in your local neighborhood, in your local city, by championing some of the initiatives we've talked about on this program. And I'll also be talking about sustainable models for community building. And we'll definitely dedicate some time on this program to talk about that topic, because I think that one of the major factors affecting our ability to address this crisis is the fact that people who organize things tend to shoulder a lot of the burden. They tend to be the kind of people who overextend themselves. And I speak from personal experience here, and they tend to burn out. And that means that good communities tend not to last. And so finding sustainable ways to build community, I find, is just absolutely critical. And there are sustainable ways to do it. Some of them involve making money, some of them don't. Some of them involve scaling to many cities, some of them don't. And more importantly, I think, is recognizing that if you are going to do some community building, if you are going to bring people together, it's super valuable if you at least know what kinds of options you have when it comes to building a community in a way that is going to last. And by the way, it's okay if it doesn't last. A community can end gracefully as well. And that's one of the sustainable ways of approaching it, is to do a program, to try doing something and explicitly say, hey, this is only going to be for a certain number of weeks or months. Or to say that, we're gonna decide after a season's worth of programming that we're going to revisit and see if we want to resume it. And this also gives you, if you're an organizer, a way to check in with yourself, see if you want to keep doing this, see if you want to change the format, change the date and time, location, pass the torch to somebody else, or maybe let it go. So we'll talk more about that, as I mentioned, in other stuff coming up. But if you're interested in learning more about Fabric, you can head to joinfabric.com to learn more. And if you want to connect with me, you'll find me. I'm Tony Be Good, TonyBGOODE, on all of the socials. And of course, you can find me every Friday night at 7 p.m. at 50 Washington Street throughout the summer, almost every Friday night at Bike Party. So if you're interested in that, make sure you reach out to me as well. I'll be happy to tell you a little bit more about it. I host my local events here on Luma. You can find those at lumalu.ma/belongfulness, BELONGFULNESS. It is 2 minutes to 6 p.m. as of this exact moment, and you're listening to WFUT Factory Underground Radio here in Norwalk, Connecticut. My name's Tony Bacigalupo. I'm going to sign off just a tad early, and we're going to return you back to the music. Hope y'all have a wonderful day. Look for every excuse to get off the internet, get yourself around other people, and get other people around you to get off the internet as well, because it is just going to make things better for the world around you. And we need that. We need that as much as ever these days. So take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and I will see you next week. Ta-ta.